Alrighty, week 13. Wow. Imagine 4 weeks from now, we're pretty much done, right? On to week 17. So just keep that in mind, right? If you, at this point, I'm actually in week, God, what week am I? Whew, man, that tells you how crazy it's getting. 11. I'm in week 11 in the RL, in the real world. So if you haven't signed up for code reviews yet, it's getting about that time when you definitely want to think about, checking out that submission so you and I can schedule that. Again, I've gone over that. So hopefully if you have any questions, you reached out for that. But here we come into week 13. Wow, what's the date? Do I have a date? October 30th. Wow, this will be right before Halloween. Okay, so FYI, actually, we're offering React.js in the fall 2024 semester. So for any of you interested, I'd really love to have you think about that class. And I know, and it's just so weird for me to be in education to have to plan that far ahead. But that is the way it goes, right? So I'm really hoping to get enough students to make that class go. We've had a real challenge since COVID getting some of the more advanced classes to go. But in this case, if you've taken this class, 93, definitely something to think about. So React.js is one of probably the most popular front-end framework for, being able to create much more sophisticated apps once you learn the infrastructure of React.js. So anyway, think about that. If you have any questions, let me know. It should be in the fall 2024, which I know you're not going to see until the middle of spring 2024. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so, and in your reply, would you tell me if that's a class you'd be interested in taking, just so I can start gauging? You'll see me starting to post this out on Discord too, as well as that rolls into the availability for students to sign up. So consider that class if it's something you're interested in. Okay, so this week I just finished going over and I'm not going to include it unless you want it because you'll get there, right? The step that we're going to do this week, but just to look at the content for what we have, because I do want to go over, right? So in this case here, you're going to do something different in the code along. So you do not need to set up, okay? You do not need to set up by copying the week 12 public code. Should be public there. I'll update that. Just create a W13 in your private and create an index, a main, and a promise.md. So this video that you're going to work through, and I've given you here's specific things you'll do. You're going to watch it all the way to 30 minutes. So part of it you'll be taking notes on because he'll just cover these concepts. And I think this video is probably one of my favorite for covering promises, and I think he does a really great job. So I thought it's kind of nice to not listen to me code for a while. So now, right, so once you set those up, right, and actually I'll set up, no, you can do this. So now watch from from the beginning to 11:52, and then take notes on what he's talking about with promises. Because we're moving from, using callbacks, because we ended last time with the callback hell concept. So now we're saying, okay, what's the next best thing we can use, which would be promises, and understanding promises then helps you when we move on to async await, which we will do in the following week, week 14. Okay. So then what you'll do, take notes and then notes on async and promises, right? And now what he will do is he'll use that nice little console editor, but you will just code in your main.js and make sure you have, it connected to your index file so you can have dev tools up and watch the code as it runs, because it's really, really helpful here, right? So in your main.js, code along and learn how to code promises, and at 16:31 time mark, then commit with coding promises, then continue, and at the 21 mark, then put promise chaining, such a good topic. And now in your promises MD file, take notes from 21 until 23, because he just talks about some concepts there, and then comment out the previous code and continue to coding until 31, about 32. And then here's your message for that, which is using catch and finally with promises, and then you can commit your history. Okay, so after giving this some thought, because at the end of that video he actually goes over an API call for weather, and we're going to do that in as the beginning in week 14. But what you will do is, now that you finish your code along, your discussion this week is actually going to be to take the workout, async workout, and then implement promises into it. So again, I hope you've got enough experience now, because I really think he explains the whole idea of the resolve and the reject and how to handle them. And I love the idea that he's introducing the catch here, so we can do some, because we haven't really talked about beyond validation. Maybe default values and functions a little bit, but we really haven't talked about error checking. So it is good time now that, and we could talk about it in larger context, depending on kind of how the next couple weeks roll through. But in this case, I love that, and it totally makes sense when you're making asynchronous calls, which we're not making an API call yet, but actually that'll be the next thing we do, because now that we've laid the foundation for what you need to write, how to handle promises, how to chain them together, how to do the then and then. See, then is like this or this. Anyway, so for this one, you'll commit your history, and then you'll move along to the code discussion. One thing in the reply here, you could also tell me, right? So I want one, either, right, your feedback about React if you're interested. But the other thing is, in week 11, which is what I'm grading right now, I realized that I had changed the code discussion to the same night the app was due, the step was due. So I'm curious, like, which do you like better? Do you like it due on the Monday night with the code along, or do you like it with the decision? Because we have a couple more, so your input is helpful here. Like I said, that was kind of a mistake on my part, and I'm gonna actually change it, maybe leave it that way for this one, and get your feedback for the next one. See how, and again, I'm trying to be flexible on those as well. But you need to get them done within a couple of days of them being due to get all the points. Okay, I think that's it for me. Have a good one. Have fun with this one.